Alright, this video is just going to be a little explanation of event, light rant about it as well, and I'm going to dub over it with some Survivor gameplay. However, it won't be from the event because reasons that will be explained in a minute. The first thing about the event is they have screwed it up so badly. It is their 10th anniversary and they've had 3 bugs in the matter of 3 days. They've had to kill switch a killer and then compensate both their event currency and their in-game currency because of bugs. The second thing that I would like to point out in this event is that it is overly survivor-sided. This is because of their game mode that they decided to do, but the way it is done is so one-directional. 2 out of 3 of them are unplayable. So the way this works is that when you load into the game, you get randomly assigned a menu for that game. And when you have at least 2 ends left, this menu will be active. And basically how you interact with the menu as a survivor determines how you use the effects. In each menu, there's a global effect that is for everybody at all times. Then there's the survivor main effect for when they eat their menu item, and the survivor main effect when they fully set a table. The way they set the table is by bringing the menu items that they can find around the map on little carts to the table. Once there are 4, the table is considered set, and the payoff will happen. The most broken part about this event is the payoff, but that's a different story. So we'll start out with the menus. There's stuffed trotters, creamy pasta, and baked camembert. With the stuffed trotters, this is probably the most deal-withable on killer. The global effect is that the killers gain haste when they hook a survivor, the survivors gain haste when they complete a gen. It's only 3% or 5% haste, depending. Not that big of a deal. The survivor eating their item event is that they basically get dead hard for distance, which is not bad but not good. Most killers can deal with it. Then the payoff, all payoffs start the same. Every survivor heals 1 health state. And then the follow-up is for the menu item. So stuffed trotters follow-up would be all actions are faster and you move faster near a survivor, which is only for survivors. The next one I want to talk about is the baked camembert. The global effect is portals appear granting teleportation. It is always 1 spot to the next spot, and it's the same throughout the trial. You interact with a portal, it'll take you to its corresponding portal. It takes about a second to activate, that's not the big deal. This is where it becomes intolerable, is that when they eat their menu item for this one, they become briefly invisible to the killer. But it is not spirit invisible, it is total invisibility. No scratch marks, no footsteps, no visibility. The reason why this is so intolerable is because no footsteps first off, so you have no clue where they're going unless they're groaning in pain or some other audio cue. Secondly, you cannot pick survivors. If you pick a survivor, there is 9 out of 10 times going to be a invisible beamer waiting in front of you or an invisible person sitting next to a pallet, because you can still interact while being invisible. And then the payoff is all survivors heal 1 health state again. And then if they use a portal, they either refresh their item or it gives them a new one and gains some invisibility for a second. Then you get into, you get this menu item, you lose the game as killer. So the global thing is fragile pallets appear throughout the trial. This is only after the base spawned pallets are destroyed that fragile pallets will start to appear. Then you get to the survivor thing for eating their menu item. It's tolerable, but combined with its payoff when they set a table, it's unplayable. reveal nearby pallets, and then become briefly immune to hits. The immunity is worse dead hard. That meaning they cannot take damage, do not get put in a men's state, but it only lasts for 2 seconds. They get no movement speed or anything like that. They just see pallets and cannot be touched by a hit. Combining this with their tables, however, makes it unplayable because they gain the ability to rebuild, reset pallets. They get any means necessary, basically. And pallets cannot be broken during this time. So for 60 seconds, you cannot break a pallet. They can just rebuild and reset the pallets that you've broken previous on other loops. They get a health state, and if they so do catch up to them, they cannot take a hit. The final thing about this event that came out, other than the new survivor, we'll get to that, is their collection. This is probably the worst collection I've seen out of all the anniversary events. You get a horrendous Dwight fit, a horrendous Trapper fit, terrible masks, low effort weapons, and a decent banner. However, I will give them one thing. The Oni Twitch drop for the event is kinda clean. The next thing I would like to talk about, finally, is the new survivor. The new survivor's perks are Wide Open Throttle, Lend a Hand, and Cross-Examination. Wide Open Throttle is the most useless perk out of the three. It will reset a pallet if you fast vault, but it blocks it for 60 seconds, and you get haste for 3 seconds. On any killer that can get Bloodlust or movement speed, you lose if you do this in chase. The only way to get any value out of this perk is to run Last Stand, and that's once per game. Then you get into Lend a Hand. Honestly, out of playtesting it, it is a good perk. However, you have to totally build for it. Meaning, you have to bless a totem to get it consistently, because if you're cleansing totems, that means you have to keep finding new ones. So you have to run a boon. You want to run healing bonus speed, because it is a healing perk. So that's 3 perk slots to make this perk really good. And then at 1 perk for anything else, probably not worth it. And from my experience, just running another perk like Resurgence or Solidarity is pretty well fitted with this build. And then finally, Cross-Examination, which will be getting nerfed. It's honestly in pubs not that big of a deal. In a comp setting, it's a little strong and probably why it's getting nerfed. But in pubs, it's not that bad. And that's basically all the event. If I find some gameplay, I'll put it in here. But if not, I will be making an event video called How to Counter the Event as Killer. Little heads up about that. The most broken part is them healing in chase. So if they can't heal in chase, what are they supposed to do?